We are live. I think we're like a minute late, but that's okay.
That's all right.
Welcome,
You're a forgiving
y'all,
bunch.
Huh?
They're a forgiving bunch.
Yeah, generally speaking. Welcome, y'all, to episode 23, which is supposed to be drinking with the Lucky Fuck. Of course, our Lucky Fuck is not here just yet, but he should be soon. In fact, I'm willing to bet that's him right now. Oh, nope. That's us going live. Never mind. Anyway, I'll have his drink here when he gets here. So, do you want to wait for him for the prayer, or do you want to just go ahead?
Go ahead.
Okay. Hail to the land spirits. The land which grows the grain from which this and that are brewed, made. Hail to Angarbotha. Thank you for showing me the way. Thank you, land spirits, for all that you do for us as we tread on you, unknowing each day. For the gifts you give us, which bring us great joy. May we forget you less often.
Mm-hmm.
Keep us all. Best
That's the aisle. Welcome, folks. This is episode 23. We're actually waiting for the guest to show up at Malik's place, the Drinking with the Lucky Fucker. And so we're going to chit-chat a little bit, because it's been a minute since we've seen each other, because I've been in isolation, and did I miss the last episode?
You didn't, but I got sick right before the last episode, so you didn't see me for like 2 weeks. And
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah, it's been an intense month.
Yeah, it's been a minute. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you've been working like 80-hour weeks, and I'm kind of surprised you're here at all.
Me too. Yeah, I 4 out of the 5 days at work, I'm working overtime.
Lovely.
Yes, indeed.
Look what I found.
Hello.
Welcome. I actually made you a drink.
Oh, fantastic.
Jason just got here.
Excellent.
Yes. Hello. Sorry for the slight delay.
You're good. You're good.
Maybe a lucky fuck, but I managed to hit every red light on the way here.
Naturally. So yeah, if you want to grab a seat, and I think you should be visible.
Oh yeah, as long as I scoot forward enough.
Let's
To the left.
That. There we go.
There you go. Much
And
better.
welcome, y'all. This is Jason, who is
Hello, everybody.
the lucky fuck.
Yes.
So.
Skull.
So I'm drinking Backwoods Bastard, which
Ooh.
is ale aged in oak bourbon barrels.
I love that one.
I like it a lot too, and I'm trying it in 2 different ways. I'm trying it out of the bottle, which is really good, and I do not chill my beer for the most part. I drink it like a dirty Englishman. And I'm also trying it in the horn cup. So a Viking going on a Viking in England.
You know, like you do.
I don't know what it is, but something about the horn just adds something to it. And it might be pure aesthetics on my part, but
I'm trying to actually get in the frame so people can see my face.
that'd be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for Jason, it was a spirit-led spirit, but it's basically just a rum Collins. So
And it's very good.
they rarely lead me wrong, except for the absinthe episode. They led me to a lot of absinthe, and I'm not that big a fan, but hey.
See, rum, I can just go all days on, and I can also drink Tom Collins basically nonstop either. So yeah, this just makes sense.
Yeah. I am also drinking something from Founders. I think it's relatively new. It's called Velvet Rush.
Never heard of it.
Imperial brown ale brewed with coffee, chocolate, vanilla extract, and milk sugar, aged in bourbon barrels.
So it's like drinking a Yoo-hoo?
Kind of, yeah. And it's clocking in at 11.1%.
Can you highlight Emily's comment right quick?
Yes. This last one?
Yes. Highly recommend. I think mine came from Grimfrost. This was a Yule gift from my folks. Highly recommend. There's a lot of artists out there who will happily hook you up. If you don't want to go through Grimfrost, there's always Nordic mythology podcasts, Horns of Odin, I believe it is. There's always some kind of heathen person out there making some kind of horn thing, and it's really not that hard to do. I've made my own out of cow horn.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yep. So my folks went through this period where I went through this period where I was really into like Native American decorations, and they did things like authentic. They went out and like purchased from native craftspeople. And so like one of the things they bought was a cow skull, which hung on the wall for a while, until one day for some fucking reason it fell off. It smashed the skull, it took the teeth out a little bit, and then the horns came off of it. Well, I had just become a heathen relatively recently, so I said, screw it, and looked up how to clean the horn up and how to line the horn with beeswax.
Okay.
So I got myself a double boiler, and then proceeded to line those cow horns, and they are damn good size. I'll have to show you them sometime.
Yeah. Are they hollow naturally?
No.
Or did you have to drill them out?
No. So the way that usually ends up going is even when you're mounting them for decoration, because of the stuff that's inside them, you're going to want to burn them out and clean out the inside.
Gotcha. Okay.
These were held on to the skull with ropes. They'd clearly been detached, cleaned out, and then put back on.
Gotcha.
So I just shaved down the parts where the ropes had been glued on, and sanded the edge and lined it with beeswax.
Not picking up Kat's comment, but Kat's comment is funny.
Bunch of horny heathens.
Oh,
Absolutely.
You know, that's life.
Hail Freyr.
Yeah.
And Hail Freya. Oof. Damn, that shit's good.
Yeah. What year is that?
This, I don't know. It's 11% alcohol by volume, though.
Should be on the opposite side of the label from the alcohol. Like literally on the other corner.
Okay. Ishton. I just saw it. Hang on a minute. 10/6/20.
Huh. Okay.
So about a year.
Yeah, about a year. That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I ask is because it's a barrel-aged beer, and those tend to vary somewhat year to year. So
it definitely has that flavor to it, and it smells of single malt Scotch, oaky bourbon barrels, smoky sweet caramel, roasted malts, earthy spice, and a scintilla of dark fruit. Yeah, if you ever get a chance to drink this stuff, it's really good. It's one of my favorite ales to drink.
Yeah.
It actually tastes like an ale, and not like I'm like may as well just run my mouth in the grass outside.
Yeah.
Like, I love Yorth, but, you know.
It doesn't mean you want to eat the grass?
I mean... Anyway. Like Eleanor said, that's for the OnlyFans.
Oh.
Who wants to eat out the Earth Mother? You're all welcome.
Yeah. Now, speaking of barrel aging, wine.
Oh, yeah. Oh, this isn't a bourbon barrel wine.
No, it is not bourbon. It is not bourbon barrel, just general.
Yeah. Most wine is aged in some kind of barrel.
Barrel, cask. This one's from 2017. Pretty smooth drinking. It is Cabernet Sauvignon. I don't know if anyone's really nice, very good. But with Cabernet Sauvignon, that basically almost means nothing nowadays because of how different every single Cabernet Sauvignon can be depending on where it's from.
Yeah.
Like this one is, I believe, in Napa Valley, Sonoma County. Yeah, Sonoma County one. And like, what does that mean? It means you're gonna drink it, and it's really smooth. It's no bite, nice, kind of watery finish. But so for a red, it drinks really nicely, but you still kind of have that nice punch of a darker red.
Yeah.
However, if you want to go and you can pick up another one, and let's say it's from Napa Valley or somewhere in France, you're going to drink that, and it's going to like poof. Yeah. You will feel all the moisture in your mouth just poof, gone.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is a shit bit tart.
Yeah, some of them.
Shit bit tart, yeah.
The nurses are concerned by the sound I just made.
Well, yeah, that's between you and the nurses.
You gotta show the Earth Mother some love, though. I mean, like some real hard loving, right?
I should have made you.
Peace on Earth.
I should have made you take the night off. What we get from a sleep-deprived Sarenth is apparently just even more innuendo. And by innuendo, I mean not innuendo anymore.
Also, I also love your tablecloth.
Oh, yeah.
It is wonderful.
It's actually Josie's. But yeah, it's nice and appropriate.
I love your tablecloth, Josie. It is awesome. Yes, in my copious amounts of spare time, I will set up an OnlyFans.
Yeah, so Josie says...
yeah, it was only fans of them.
Yeah, in your very copious spare time, as you're working 3 hours a week.
I mean, if you want a spirit worker that bad. Look, it's not just the state that's fucking me. Come on.
Look, it's not just the state that's fucking me.
Beautiful.
Our new
That's my tagline. Yeah. God damn, this is good.
White.
So,
what is it?
should have known you have excellent taste, Josie.
Working overtime, then bend overtime.
I mean,
Working
highlight
overtime,
that.
Bend overtime. That's beautiful.
Pay those bills.
Nobody quite pegs you like the state, and you just can't stop. It's like Pringles, right? Once you pop, you just don't stop.
Oh, the worst part is I work subsidiary to the state, so yeah.
I mean, to be fair to Michigan, it is shaped like a fucking glove, and it does reach up inside of you. And I think it's not really reaching to make you feel pleasure. I think it's just trying to find your will to live.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, that's fair.
I'm gonna need a lot of this.
I mean, you brought a whole bottle.
I got a whole bottle. I'm ready to go, but this is a good way to start.
Yeah.
So speaking of Michigan, excellent segue. So this is my other drink that I'm drinking tonight. So I've got Backwoods Bastard and Lager of the Lakes by Bell's. Good shit.
Yeah, Lager of the Lakes is really good.
This is also, I think, 6%.
6 or 7. It's pretty light.
Calls itself a Bohemian Pilsner.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I don't drink a ton of Bell's. Just
It's actually 5%, so that's not even bad.
okay. Yeah. I should probably drink more Bell's because they're good. I just don't drink that much anymore.
This is legit.
It's honestly easier to find Founders near me, so I just drink that. But
To be honest, I prefer Founders stuff to Bell's, but I wanted to break up the evening a little bit because I've got another Backwoods Bastard here, and that's pretty much what I'm drinking is Bell's and Backwoods. Yeah, I like the can a lot. It's anything. I'm kind of a sucker for anything Michigan. So
yeah. Although I think you will be disappointed because that's going to drink a lot better cold than it will warm.
It's lukewarm.
But I think you'll be slightly disappointed. For folks on the show who don't know, I have, in the last month and a half, switched jobs twice because The first job, or I left my R&D job for a clinical laboratory who decided that instead of the supervisor position that they interviewed me for, they were going to give me a technician position. And instead of the 40 hours a week that they were going to work me, it was going to be 48 to 50 hours a week, often with 6 hours between shifts. And the conditions were abysmal. And so I said no, and I left. And now I'm in a different clinical lab. And so far, in the first 2 days I've worked, I have worked only 6 hours a day.
All right.
And I'm salary, so I still get paid the same.
Welcome to the welcome to working 6 hour salary club. It's wonderful.
And Sarah sits there like, yep, fuck y'all entirely. I worked
Yep.
16 hours yesterday and 8 today. You know, it's okay.
So that actually kind of, that whole shifting luck, shifting things. So that kind of brings to mind like the reason why we have our guest on tonight. And so why don't we talk a bit about what the hell luck even is? Because I think that the heathen version of luck is wildly different than what most people think of luck, what you might be experiencing as luck.
Yeah. Oh.
So
Before you start, let me quickly define luck from a heathen context, which is not the same as what Jason does. Just
Right.
to clarify, luck in a heathen context, for our viewers who aren't aware, is actually closer to a soul part than it is, and some people genuinely consider it a soul part.
I do. Well, actually, depends.
Yeah, it's tricky. But luck is more like
The Force.
the Force, kind of. Yeah, it's tied into your Hamingia.
Whoops. That was weird.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that was. Anyway,
That was me clicking the stop cam button by accident.
Oh, that's what it was. Got it. Luck is kind of your ability to kind of do shit or have shit go your way, even when it shouldn't necessarily, and it can be built or lost over time. It's not chance, though. It's more like almost akin to willpower, kind of.
Let me define it against other terms. So
Yeah.
we have Megan, which is might, and this is the straight up ability to do shit. Like,
Mhm.
like one of the things that Thor wears is called the Megan Yorth, which is the belt of Earth strength. Like it translates to strength of Earth. Megan Yorth, strength Earth, and so the thing about luck, as it's typically translated as Hamingia, is that it's built between people and it's built on your own as well as between groups. Luck has a lot of ways that it can be worked with and used. Typically in the sagas, we see that kings impart their luck because the Skalds were writing about kings for the most part. Chieftain and Skalds would impart this stuff onto weapons, onto gifts that they gave. Luck is like a spiritual force that you can enchant objects with, or that you can use to make changes.
Yeah.
It is not what we think of as luck today, which is like chance or probability.
Yeah.
When we as heathens talk about luck, we're probably going to use the word Hamingia because luck in the popular imagination just doesn't click.
Yeah. And it's, yeah, like you said, it's more like a spiritual force than it is chance or probability in a heathen context, which is different than what Jason does, which is, I'm just going to let you talk.
Well, honestly, everything that you've said is like, I mean, that's pretty much, that is not unrelated.
Okay.
That's kind of the whole thing with what I do. For those who don't know me, by the way, hello, I'm Jason Davis. I am a polytheist, primarily practicing chaos magic, though also working now with Irish Pagan School, and starting to dip my toes into working with Dionysus. And yeah, bunch of fun things. But primarily I practice chaos magic, And my focuses tend to be on fate and void magic, but the big one is I practice luck. And that sounds like, oh, so what? Do you just go out and gamble all the time? No, no. Good Lord, no. That would be very bad. And really just kind of what my focus on is figuring out the kind of mechanisms that luck operates off of, and kind of how we as different practitioners interact with it. Now, kind of you said you have your Haminya, which, boy, that is not how that looks like how that's spelled. In doing what research I have with into the more heathen side of it, because luck's kind of one of those things. It's present, global. It is a global. Everyone has a version of a thing that's kind of like luck.
Yeah.
But yes, I would agree 100%. Luck is not chance. It's not probability. Flat out, no way. It's a really good thing. Like, you can use luck to influence chance, but that does not mean it is something that is going to just, we're just going to break the can open for you.
Okay.
It is actually quite similar to, as you said, Haminya.
Okay.
But it is also different because how I interpret luck is that luck kind of exists in itself as an astral construct is the wrong word, but entity is also the wrong word, because it's not exactly something that is specifically, you can't just pop up and go talk to it. It's not a deity.
Is it more like a current of energy?
Yeah, current of energy would be a very good way of describing it. And it is something that is very free-flowing as well. Yes, there are ways that we can anchor it and use it in terms of luck rituals, luck blessings, or luck charms. And part of my studies are going into how that has changed over time, what has been considered luck, what is considered bad luck, because that's a whole other thing. What's the difference between luck and fortune? Which, oh lordies, there's a lot of difference in between luck and fortune. They are not the same. Please don't use them as the same. Like, trying to be like, oh, I practice luck magic. Let's say it's like, oh, that means you must work with Frigga, or you must work with Fortuna. And it's just like, no. What they've got going on is way more than what I do.
Okay.
And the biggest difference comes in the fact of how I interpret luck. What luck does is that it tries to keep individuals on the path that best serves them serving the universe, which is a whole chaos magic kind of concept, is that everything operates to serve the universe in such a way.
So I hear this, and I'm not hearing anything that's drastically different from heathen understandings of luck. There's a couple of details, but for the most part, honestly, yeah.
And then fortune being more tangible, that does tend to be the classic way of describing the difference in between the two, and honestly, it tends to be the way that I also indicate the difference between the two. Though you can't have spiritual fortune in terms of, like, you work with a bunch, let's say you work with a bunch of spirits and you end up in a real bad spot and then they come to your aid. And this is different from like worship or anything like that. Let's say you have a very good relationship with your ancestors and your ancestors come through and they help you out. Obviously they're going to want to anyways,
right?
But giving them that extra attention results in them giving extra attention to you. I would call that being more fortunate than being lucky.
So Josie says, don't push your luck was something really solid that you expressed as important when we talked about it.
Oh, yeah. So as you guys discussed in the concept of Haminya, each person essentially has a capacity for luck, as I've looked into. And yes, there's a difference between each person, but also how they use it is very different. But there's also a point in time where you go, and people tend to have a fairly weird but innate sense of it. And it's not just people who practice any form of magic and not or those who have a close connection to spirits or anything like that. they have an idea of being like, this is a bad idea. Like their gut, something in their deep instinct tells them that what they're about to do is past the point, even if it's a normal thing, past the point of what they would normally do. That is just like, I don't know. I shouldn't drive out in this snowstorm. I've driven in snowstorms plenty of times, but there's something about this one that's telling my brain, this is the wrong, don't do this. And don't push that little piece. Because when you do, you are running in there blind. Whereas most of the time, luck is there to try to guide you. If you get that feeling, that means luck's not going to be there. Whatever happens is the fate of a bunch of other things that are currently occurring. And you could be setting yourself up for a very, very bad time. Because the absence of luck is far worse than having bad luck.
Interesting.
Because bad luck, this is going to get very specific. Bad luck is not a bad thing, but you have to be careful about what you're calling bad luck. Are you having bad luck, or is someone actually just fucking with you? Is someone just being a colossal asshole? Because people have agency. People just do things.
Emily asked a really good question. Is it where you have a capacity and you can refill it but not go past it, or do you start with a set amount that doesn't refill? Once it's gone for good.
You can absolutely refill your luck. Just taking your time, really being in yourself, and just going through kind of your daily practices, you will refill luck naturally. Luck is kind of just sort of a natural thing going around. And there'll be times where you'll be like, I feel like I can't do anything. It may last days, it may last a week. Now, I'm not talking if you're having a depressive episode or something like that. Like specifically something in your brain is like, I really just need to really take it easy. But
fuck, I don't know what that's like.
And you can start doing things again. What was that?
I said, fuck, I don't know what that's like.
Well, you do know what that's like. You just fucking ignore it all the time.
Right. But again, then if you have deities and spirits and other things on your side, that helps, because in a sense they can force that luck, or they can use some of their own luck for you, kind of getting back to the Haminya thing. And that's why having an extremely good relationship with spirits and stuff like that has benefits outside of, straight up magic stuff and the positive influences that it can have on your life. One of the ways they can help is just giving you better luck. Maybe you're running a little bit late and boom, 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 all green lights the entire way there. Even though you know it shouldn't be green, but they're green right now. And just the small things that take the edges off. One thing I like to say, good use of luck is not, I'm going to go buy 10 scratchers and hope I win $10,000. A good example of luck is walking into a gas station, and for whatever reason, they put the ice cream thing right in front of you, and they have Choco Tacos in there. And you haven't had a Choco Taco in years. But here it is, right there, readily available for you. And you know what? They're only 99 cents today, so you get one, and you feel better. That's a lot more about how luck functions.
It's interesting. So go ahead.
I was going to say, so luck is almost the small things that make life easier.
Right. And bad luck are the small things that agitate you until you change something.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's I'm at work. Shit, why is my mug today full of dust? I'm at work and my chair breaks? Well, have you been thinking about changing your job? Well, yeah, okay, I've been thinking about changing my job. Okay, have you been applying for new jobs? No.
The universe is literally telling you to get off your ass.
Well, you're going to keep having bad days at work, and little things are going to keep going wrong, whether it be like directly directed at you or, you're a microbiologist. Guess what? Your incubator went down. You have to replate everything and do today's stuff on top of it.
I don't know what that's like.
Oh, no.
Sorry, you were saying something?
I don't remember what my quip was, but it's interesting because the capacity to refill your Haminya and only having a certain capacity for Haminya or luck, it strikes me as very in keeping with the heathen conception of luck. And I know that it's not a one-to-one thing, but this is my perspective. The interesting thing about what you're talking about exists in the lore, because it's not like the average fighter didn't have luck. The reason that the king or the chieftain could impart more luck was because his capacity for luck was greater, because of the amount of relationships he could carry at once.
Absolutely.
And so that's what it sounds like building luck is relationships, connectedness, and developing a better synchronicity with the universe than it is, well, I'm just going to impose my will on this situation.
Right. Absolutely.
This is actually reminding me, and forgive me, but I gotta say it. This is reminding me of fucking Crowley's. And I don't know if this comes from him or if he was just writing it down and it came from later, or it came from earlier. But his whole thing about the will, which is not like I want to do this, but is rather a more like your cosmic purpose, is how I've had it explained to me from like Thelema and ceremonial magic and stuff. Is like the whole do what you will be the whole of the law, is not carte blanche to do whatever the fuck you want. It's you're supposed to do what you're supposed to do, which isn't fucking just anything you feel like doing.
Well, it's a misunderstanding of it, no different than fortune being confused for luck.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, like, your average observer from the outside of Thelema, unless they've gone through the work and have gone through the initiatory process, some jagoff coming off the street and saying 93, 93 does not understand what they're saying.
Yeah.
Just like somebody saying, well, I'm going to do luck magic today and I'm going to get a scratch off ticket and I'm going to make money. Like, that's fortune working. That's different.
Yeah, that's fortune working. And honestly, if you're going about that with luck, you essentially you will just be ruining all the work that you did. A very common thing that I do for cleansing is going, like, if I feel like I haven't felt like the presence of luck and like my journeys are all fuzzy and it's not, if things aren't clicking on that, I will go buy a scratcher. I will try some form of gambling. I will play an extra session of D&D, like I'll pick off a one-off thing and I just try to do as many random chance things as I can, and in a way that sort of flushes out the system. Get my luck to 0 and then work on rebuilding it back up.
That's interesting. Okay, so it is in part at least affected, or it affects probability in a certain way.
It affects it, but in a way that would be considered extremely minimal.
Okay.
And the other thing is what luck does is not a fate thing. People, it's like, oh, I'm going to get lucky, win the lottery. If you win the lottery, that's a fate experience. That is something else entirely, because luck is meant to fix kind of the day-to-day, keeping you on the way forward. Fate is like, okay, you're moving. Okay, you're moving. You're doing this. You start on the path. You start on it's like, okay, I'm going to dedicate myself, let's say, to heathenry. That is not, I lucked into doing heathenry. That is, you were either sought out or you sought.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's like the difference between day-to-day versus massive life changes.
Right.
Gotcha.
Because massive life changes are a lot more.
Can you highlight Emily's?
That one?
Yeah.
I'm always for an excuse for D&D. I mean, you're not wrong.
You're right. And then Josie's got one. How can you lubricate your luck, for lack of a better term, the regular flushes you mentioned when you're feeling stuck?
Well, you can find out more on our OnlyFans.
Oh, there you go.
Hey!
Lubricating luck. Oh.
I'll get another drink while you're thinking.
That is a very interesting way to phrase that. But if you're talking like, how do I just like burn through a bunch of my luck? Unfortunately, from what I've seen, it is very personal. It is the thing that you do that you feel like this is just completely out of my hands. Just started a joke, OnlyFans account, right? But it is very much so a personal thing, because luck is not something that acts the same for everyone. What you consider something good happening to you is very different from what someone else considers good happening to you.
Mhm.
So in that sense, you have to do the thing. That's a different kind of getting lucky. Yeah, lubricate in the getting it moving sense. Yeah.
It's a very different kind of getting lucky,
Okay.
sir. Yep.
I mean,
in a sense,
But-
you could certainly consider that a way, but I personally have not looked into that. If someone does, please let me know.
something's
video-
United States in
Well, I
force.
need to tell you the story of the time that I did that and then ended up breaking a taboo and getting sick for a week.
Whoops.
So the thing with luck work is, to me, it sounds like it's neither good nor bad, up or down, left or right. It is literally, this is the energy of the universe that I am tapping in to make something happen, and I can either go with this current or I can fight against it.
Pretty much. And to the degree that you fight against it, it can get nasty. The best thing I do is, people who do really terrible things seem to have really good luck. They get away with shit that they shouldn't for an extremely long period of time.
I'm glad because I think this goes into Josie's question about lubricating luck in the sense of really getting it to move.
Right.
Because if you're just sitting on luck, it doesn't do anything.
Right. Actions or for luck to function, you need to do something. It is an action-based. Really, it's an action-based process. It's an action-based series of work.
Mm-hmm.
And while I've done research, and there have been a bunch of stuff about luck, it's just like, and this is where it gets a little bit into that hokey. You need to help yourself to be a better lucky person. For as much as I don't like that sort of style, because it's just like, well, yes, but also, like, no.
Yeah.
So
You your way out of
you can't luck your way, from a let's say from lower middle class to upper class.
Yeah,
It's
0.1%.
to 0.1%, and that's a whole other thing of luck. People being like, "Wow, I just did this thing." It's like, no, you just have the benefit of being.
Was it luck or was it privilege?
Yeah, it privilege? Was it luck or was it privilege?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff out there that's just like, you can only do this from a privileged point. And that's a lot of what I try to do is kind of sort through the bullshit. And because there is a lot of it. More D&D and Pathfinder and Thirsty Sword Lesbians. Yes, that's a real tabletop RPG. Got it. Honestly, yeah, if you feel like that is the best outlet for your luck, push it. Or make and design like your own little one-off stuff. Like, don't be afraid.
Eleanor has a really good point. It's the same with spellwork, yeah. So you can do all the prosperity spells in the world, but if you don't apply for jobs or work at the job you have, money isn't going to just drop into your account.
Absolutely, 100%. That is it. Really, what all luck does is luck magic is for taking the edge off.
It's greasing the wheels, not starting the engine.
Right. It is taking something that is going to be like, oh, this has the potential to be like an 8 in terms of intensity, and drops it to a 5. You have to do it. It might not be fun, but it's going to make that process just a little bit easier. And it's going to make it so that way, you know what, maybe your schedules just line up a bit better. Maybe, and it can be a small thing. Like one person I'm teaching luck magic to, he and I have been working on stuff for like 3 months. Like 2 people got through it in like a month. And then someone's just like, well, why is it taking so long? And it's just like, well, because luck needs something to work with. In other words, yes, it makes actions on things. Whether it be something extremely personal, whether it could be spiritual too, but this person, as I've been interacting with them, they've also been finding their way along, actually, the Heathen Reed path, because they were just starting on it. When they're like, oh, I want to do luck magic. I'm like, cool. For luck magic, like doing stuff, it's like, oh, you're going to be doing journey work. He's like, all right, I've done like some of that stuff. I'm like, oh, cool. Can you shield? No. Oh no.
You're doing journey work?
Oh, sweetheart.
Oh, yeah.
Sweetheart.
Okay.
So the thing with luck magic, as I understand your explanation, and what differentiates it from, say, chi, prana, und, anything that has to do with generating and using energy, luck is less the breath and more the esophagus, more the pipes, more the means of transferring that vital essence, that vital energy into places. It is the piping system, less than the actual breath itself.
Yes, and I would absolutely say that, and I would also say luck is not you. That is kind of the other weird thing about luck. Luck, while you can hold it within yourself and you can use it and apply it, unlike chi, it is not you in its entirety. It is something that exists, whether we're here or not, whether we're interacting with it hyperactively or not. It's going to be there and do its own thing.
So it's almost less using Sarah's example. It's almost less the breath and more the air you're breathing.
Yes, but because it's like when you use it, breathe it in within yourself, and then exhale it as something that. Yeah, that would be a good way of saying it. It's part of the air that you breathe. I won't say it's entirely that, because there are also a whole lot of other things that are involved.
What I'm also hearing, though, is that, like air as opposed to breath, it is something you cannot make on your own, you can't take in on your own, and you can't expel on your own. You have to have luck in relationship to other things, other beings. Even if you don't recognize that as a thing, the only way to get that luck, that air, that breath, that from point A to point B, is to have a means of conveyance through relationships of some kind.
Yeah. It is the oxygen in the air that you breathe.
That makes sense. And sometimes you breathe in a fart, and sometimes the air smells like roses.
Yeah.
And,
Sometimes you're out for a walk and it's a beautiful brisk day and the sun's shining, and other days you're out for a walk and a storm rolls in.
Yeah.
You'll still be breathing, but yeah.
Sorry, we're also checking Jason's phone for like things because I can't read my
that one's a good part of it. It's like
so Eleanor makes a really great point. The luck needs something to work with, in other words, and I think that's kind of what we've been getting at.
Yeah, and then we can get into stuff like luck charms and other things like that, which is
what is the function of a luck charm?
So for those of you who practice animism, this is going to be hopefully a very easy, based on kind of what we talked about, concept to feel, which is, so we have our own capacity for luck. So does everything else.
Makes sense.
Like for myself, I have a collection of pennies that I just pump when it's like I'm feeling super lucky. I just pump luck into. I'm just like, you will be my little containers that when luck is not present, I will pull out of you. Which is a whole thing. Malkor, is the chaos magic standpoint
From the chaos magic standpoint, does familial things affect luck, i.e. generational trauma or debt, if that makes sense?
Owed luck from a past generation. Depends on how much a particular ancestor fucked with the universe. Really, like how much did it throw other people off path? But really, it tends to be pretty individualized. So you can maybe go, well, what about past life trauma? What if things of that nature? It really does tend to stick more with the here and now. There can be scars, there can be leftovers, but really it deals a lot more with this is the life I'm leading right now.
So if I'm hearing this right from previous conversations, that would tend to be more fate things than luck things.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Fate might hold a bit more of a grudge. Fate will hold more of a grudge than luck will.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense to me, at least on an intuitive level. I'm not sure that I could explain it, but that makes a certain amount of sense.
debt gets awkward because with luck there is something, and I cannot come up with a better word for this. I'm sorry. It's called anti-luck.
Okay.
It is essentially the interaction between you and someone else where you pretty much siphon the luck off of someone else.
That sounds not great.
It's not. And this gets back to something I was talking a little bit about earlier, which is bad people doing bad things, but having good luck. That good luck isn't coming from them just having a naturally large reservoir. Maybe it is, but most likely not. Everyone has the varying levels, but it all kind of is close to the same. But these people are astronomically lucky. And it's like, well, why is that? Everyone around them suffers.
Oh, it is
people, and it's a metaphysical thing where they essentially plug into someone and go, your luck is mine now.
So it's literally, to just be extremely anti-capitalist at this point. Welcome to the show in case you're new here. It's literally capitalists exploiting their workers for not just material gain, but metaphysical gain as well.
Elon Musk isn't lucky. He's just using his workers as literal batteries.
Yeah. Let's see. Luck vampires? Oof.
I think that to me, it doesn't quite fit because Musk isn't really doing a vampirism. He's more like a lich trying to extend his unlife at this point.
That would be a lot more accurate.
Yeah,
than a vampire.
It's similar concept, but yeah.
Yeah, luck lich. That'd be very. I'd say that's a lot closer to what it would be like a vampire. Because the weird thing about people like that is that they are oftentimes unaware of the more metaphysical things. They're there for the money, the power, the blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
But for these individuals, they are also affecting people on that sense. Now, this is when things get really awkward because they have people that really buy into them. Again, kind of going with the Musk thing. And
a much more low level example might be the boss who really relies on their secretary and everybody thinks it's the boss.
Yeah.
But yeah, Elon Musk also works here.
Well, I was going more for Musk because there are people who may not even support him financially, but they go for bat for him for everything.
This is a good point, yeah.
So, and this is almost a really creepy form of not quite consent, but it's an attachment.
Yeah. So Melkor makes a good point. A black hole at this point feeds itself by consuming everything around it.
Yes. In a sense.
And not to continue picking on Elon Musk because I mean,
fuck him.
I mean, no, fuck him entirely. He can die for all I care. Not that I'm wishing him harm explicitly, but like, no, I don't care.
That's okay.
But like, no, like people, Elon Musk is actually kind of a poster boy for this because people who, like you said, are not at all attached to him or Tesla, just fanboy for him because he's built kind of this persona of being so smart and being kind of a tech bro thing, even though like most of his engineering designs don't fucking work. He didn't found Tesla. He bought it.
He didn't found PayPal either.
Yeah.
Like the things that kind of jump-started all of his stuff. Now it's just like, oh, well, he did all these things and he got really lucky. It's like everyone around him has suffered.
Everybody around him suffered and produced a product while he just shoved money in the hole and made it bigger than what it was.
Right. So the nice thing, though, is kind of to go back almost a comic book way. Fate will recognize when these things happen. That is the nice thing that tends to come around. Now it doesn't come around for everyone, and it'll come around in a certain way eventually. Unfortunately, fate does not work fast, but when it works, it tends to come down like a screaming hammer.
No,
like eventually, or it's like actually using Elon Musk again. A lot of Elon Musk's stuff fails. A lot of it doesn't work. A lot of it hasn't worked in the past. A lot of it works a lot better once he's out of the picture.
Yep.
Now, he may be sitting there and getting a little bit of cash off the top.
Mhm.
Sure. But the less he is involved, the better the things run. Now, this is just because, as you said, he's kind of an incompetent engineer. But there's also that luck is not being siphoned off into him. And this, now, do I believe that Elon Musk is metaphysically siphoning people knowledgeably? Absolutely not. But that doesn't stop it from
Being true.
being true.
Yeah. It's one of those intent versus impact things.
Right.
Sorry, before we go any further, I just want to say real fast, I switched, because I finished my last drink, I switched to KBS Cinnamon Vanilla Cocoa, and it's amazing. As most KBSs are, this is phenomenal.
What classifies KBS?
So KBS is Kentucky Breakfast Stout. It's a beer made by Founders. It's kind of one of their, it's not their flagship, but it's one of their like special beers that they put out, and everyone goes nuts for it in the craft beer scene because they only put it out like once a year at most.
Gotcha.
And they've, because it's so popular, they started putting out a bunch of variants of it. And so this is that. This is one of those variants. Sorry, I did not mean to interrupt the conversation. Just wanted to throw that out before I forgot.
It's on tap. I'm about to start my on tap.
Good.
Speaking of which,
Do you want a wine glass or is that good?
I'll just use this. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it's basically empty. So there you go. But I do need a bottle opener.
Gotcha.
Or wine opener.
Yeah.
I need to decork.
Please continue, y'all, while I get this bottle open.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, that does sound damn good.
Talking about drinking on the drinking podcast. What? Yeah, exactly.
Who knew?
Oh, trust. I enjoy the Musk bashing as well. I think it's interesting that in all the talk around luck, what hasn't been put forward is so far, how do you fuck with someone's luck? If you really want to drain somebody's luck, what do you do? Because this is a bit different than, say, I'm going to curse you with ill health. You're interrupting their ability to access a current.
How do you fuck with someone's luck is a very interesting.
And if it's not something you want to talk about on the air, that is fine.
Oh, no, it's fine. I'm going to talk about the nice way of doing it. There are different ways. As
I appreciate the
there are
CYA.
many paths, and they all lead to Rome, as they were. The nice way of fucking with someone's luck is to figure out what they want and really push for it. Like, really be for them. Now, what do I mean by that? I'll use an example that I'm doing right now. I have a coworker who drives me up the fucking wall. That I do not mind people having complaints about things. I do mind when people complain about the same exact thing every single day for hours on end. If you work with this person, they will eventually begin to grind your gears. So I had to figure out the way to improve their lives that would eventually wind up with them most likely leaving. So I'm like, oh, do I help them try to find a job elsewhere? I don't know if they're looking for a new job quite yet. So how do I get them to the point of wanting to look for a new job? Well, he and his fiance are, they're looking to expand, and they started looking for a house. So what did I do? I'm going to put a bunch of effort into them finding a house far away from where we work. Not too far that he won't make the drive to come in, but just far enough that it's going to make him not want to make the drive every day. So he bought a house recently. Within the last week, he actually got on the house, and it's a 45-minute drive, and we're heading into winter.
I can tell you, as someone who used to make a 45-hour drive every day, that's fucking miserable.
Oh, wait till there's snow.
Oh yeah, of course. It's so worse.
So, and you say sneaky. It is a little sneaky, but it keeps you constantly in the positive because
you're helping someone.
You are helping someone. You are going about the act of improving their lives. Their life is improving. They found an affordable house in this market.
Folks, this is the pagan polytheist magical equivalent of saying "bless your heart."
It really is.
Holy shit! Highlight Eleanor's.
This brings all the life to the southern
Bless
blessed
your heart. Oh yeah.
Yep,
Oh
100%,
yeah.
100% elf.
That's beautiful, Eleanor. We were
It's
on
funny.
that wavelength.
It's funny. So Jim Two Snakes, who is a co-host of Saren's other podcast around Grandfather Fire, talks about this. He put out at least one TikTok about it, and I think he's talked about it before. About a good way to actually curse someone, right? So you've got a coworker who's pissing you off. Instead of actively trying to harm them, bless them so they get another job far the fuck away from you, so that they're not your fucking problem anymore. He talks about it as applying that energy in a different way so you run into less barriers. Because, right, Nicole, who has a good friend of mine who's been on around Grandfather Fire twice, talks about this.
We need to have her on. She's awesome.
We do, actually. That would be great fun. Has talked about this before. Whenever curse word comes up, she'll be like, look, if you want to curse someone, go for it. I'm very curse positive, but know what you're getting into. You're then dealing with that person's entire ancestral house. Maybe they're not on good terms with their ancestors, but maybe they are, and you're now picking that fight. Is that a fight you want to pick? Because sometimes it's worth it, and sometimes it's not. And hey, sometimes you win that fight, and that's great, and sometimes you don't. You got to be sure you're picking that fight. And if you're
sometimes you pick that fight, you win, and you're worse off for it.
Right. So Melkor actually is well, I was actually going to begin to say, so you are.
I wish you so much success that I never have to see you at your ass again.
Yep. And then what they say, and since you're putting your will with their will, theoretically speeding up the process. Yes. So then if you're using your luck with their luck, because their luck wants them to be happy, essentially, to find peace. And they were already, like, it was kind of, I really kind of got the idea when they said, oh, we're starting to look for a house. And I'm like, that's a good idea.
Are you?
Fight smarter, not harder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And also, like, can you curse someone to have bad luck? You can, but just being an asshole in person's a lot easier. Really, it is. And to curse them with, like, let's say you want to if you were to try to siphon their luck, which is doable by anyone. There's so much potential harmful feedback to yourself. It is similar to a curse. It's just you're dealing, but maybe you don't have to deal with that person's ancestors, but when luck comes around and finds that it's kind of a non-consensual thing, at best you kind of suffer for it. At worst, fate gets involved, and then you are in for a fucking bad time. Like,
Eleanor brings up a good point. This sounds like fight smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
I'll agree, because this luck thing operates a lot, to my mind, on judo principles versus a straight up striking, kicking, punching form.
Yeah.
You're trying to use the force that's already there to your advantage versus just generating force on your own.
Right.
So straight up, if you want to fuck with somebody's luck, you don't want to straight up knuckle down, drag out fight, because you could be interfering with fate, and fate will have its own.
Right. Whether you like it or not, fate wins.
Like, you're not going to win against the train.
Right.
Just don't.
Just don't. Now, and there's also other things like, oh, you want to go mess with, you want to pick a fight with, let's say, fair folk, but you want to mess with them on the luck level. Don't. They don't play by our rules. Don't do it.
This also probably holds true for any other kind of entity you could probably think of. That is like
I cannot think of a circumstance where directly going after someone's luck ends with a positive outcome. No, you can help your friend. No, here's kind of a thing though. The inverse is not true. If you're trying to help someone, it's very easy. but you can still get told no. This is why doing divination is important. Because, for example, there are some ancestors that really like things done a specific way. They want you to do that harder path sometimes. Unfortunately, trial by fire stuff, I don't know. It's come up a couple of times when I'm trying to do a luck blessing where they just get really, using your opponent's force against them. Yes, in a sense, yes, I would say that. But like, sometimes or even there are even some deities that are just like, no, I want them to go through this and figure it out themselves, because whether I like it or not, and whether there are other people who like it or not, sometimes the hard way is the right way. Unfortunately, you need to get that full experience sometimes.
For lack of a better metaphor, it's what did I learn from making the wrong light bulb 100 different ways? I learned 100 ways to not make a light bulb.
Right. And this gets into actually performing luck blessings for people. And luck charms actually will fall into this category as well. And this really boils down to sometimes the hard way makes the future easier. Absolutely. And also, what you might think you want isn't what fate hasn't planned for you. And that gets into, well, did I go on this large circuitous route just to end up in the same place? Maybe, but what did you gain along that path? Gives you the right tools to deal with future. Yeah, it can give you the right tools to deal with the future situation. Absolutely.
And some of us don't learn till we make the mistakes.
Yeah.
And then El's comment of gives you the right tools to deal with future situations. Yep.
Yeah. Pretty much all on that same line. But there are situations where it's like, yeah, luck can intervene here and make things easier. If you're having a bad week at work, do a luck blessing and ride it out. It will. You will have a great Friday, let's say, and that Friday might just be someone asked you out for, hey, let's go hang out, let's go grab a drink. I only do things the hard way.
Hey, Car, we know.
Hi, Car, we know.
Boy, yeah. I don't know how many times I've told my parents, it's like, wow, you won't take this until you really, really drive it into the dirt, don't you? Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine. It's great. As kind of slightly backtracking to the you got to go the circuitous route to get to the thing. So this new job that I'm at currently is super chill, super easy, super great. I mean, it's not super great, but it's precisely what I needed. In order to get there, I had to spend a month busting my ass for a company that did not fucking care. Because specifically, I asked for the breathing room and space in my life to do the spirit work that I want to do. And almost immediately got a new job. And I was like, cool, this is great. Wow, this is really bad. I have less time. I have no energy. I have no time or space. What the fuck? This is not what I asked for. And then a month in, I was like, or 3 weeks in, I was like, no, fuck this. So I started applying for new jobs. And 6 days later, I got this other job, which is way easier. And I would not have gotten it if I didn't have the first job, which taught me reminded me just enough about PCR that I could actually get the second job. It was like, oh,
I hate that, but it's so true. It's 100%. Yeah, that is 100% right.
I had to have the first shitty job.
I had to have that first shitty job, so I learned this thing that allowed me to get through the interview to get the company.
Yeah, and now I'm working, 6, maybe 8 hours a day, getting paid more than I was before. So it's fine.
Yeah, it is definitely one of those things that talking about boots.
Let me see. Hold on. Tom McGuire. Sorry, give me 1 fucking second. Your busted ankle for your busted ankle, but it's been so long since we've had you on 3-pack, maybe you're all healed. And Car says, soft brace and better some days. I did not realize you had a busted ankle, Car. I'm really sorry for your pain, and I hope it's better very soon.
For sure. Yeah.
I don't have time to keep up with more than one podcast, and that one podcast is around Grandfather Fire. That is the breaks. Honestly, I'm usually at least 3 weeks behind with AGF, so.
I mean, that's how I do it. I consume.
You're never gonna run out of content.
I consume people in bulk.
Wow.
But yeah. Luck. It's fun. It's confusing. Void magic's much simpler.
All right, you said it a couple times. Tell me about Void Magic.
Void magic. Originally, I was under the impression that it was just simply the space of which fate and luck reside. This kind of large nebulous space that appears different to everyone. Boy, that gets more confusing.
What can you say?
What can I say? It's very similar to luck in that it kind of is turning into a thing that is present in a lot of different cultures and represented in many different ways within those cultures.
Okay.
To use a heathen example, it is very similar to Gununga.
Okay.
And it is operating, and it's not just like, oh, this is the space. It's interacting with that space, using it in magics, using it in practical and almost practical senses. Like for me, I use void magic as part of my personal shielding. Now, I don't have that directly exposed to my, core being because I did that for once and it gave me depression for a week. Don't do it. But if you take the time and you figure out how to do it right, you have this sort of protection of, if something that I don't know or I don't recognize or doesn't feel safe to me tries to get me, it just goes off into nothing. This infinite space.
Okay.
This infinite space of holding. But then you get into stuff like, well, it's very similar to Gunungap. What does that mean? It means when I want to do a rune reading, I go and I make my sacred space using that. And I get, for myself, a much clearer picture of what the runes are trying to tell me than I would just pulling one out of a bag where I am, even if it is a sacred space.
All right, so correct me if I'm wrong. You're basically tapping into the raw void from which creation sprang.
Yeah. It's good stuff. Really, really recommend. Also, this is why if you do take journeys and stuff to this, know how to shield. Don't go up there raw. It will hurt. You will be confused, and it's bad. Don't leave yourself completely exposed to it. It's not good. Now, there's also an infinite void of space, which is the other nice thing that I find with it. If you feel very claustrophobic, which is something that I suffer with. I'm a very big person. You shove me into small spaces, I will get claustrophobic.
Fair.
And sometimes if I'm doing a lot of journey work or if I'm doing hard work, I will get that claustrophobic feeling even in my own home. Mm-hmm. So I create the sacred space of void, and now I have this infinite space. Whereas infinite space, you can fully stretch out. You can fully kind of realize yourself both in physical, spiritual, dimensional body, as it were, and you can feel like you actually have that sense of peace.
In an infinite void, you can be infinitely large.
In an infinite void, you can be infinitely large, but you can also be infinitely small. It doesn't matter because
they look the same.
It looks the same. And because of that, it actually ends up being very good as a centering process.
God damn, that's fascinating. Huh. I'm gonna have to use that.
It is very, very much so but again, this is one thing that I keep bringing it up, but shielding, grounding, centering. Please, before you do any sort of journey work, before you really kind of get into most other forms of work, make sure you can do this. Even if it's assisted, have someone with you, have a deity that you can go to, have your ancestors, have someone that you can go to for this.
You mean having your groundwork before you get into
Oh, yeah.
larger, more advanced projects is important?
Yes, because it's like anything else. If you leave yourself exposed to it, it will eat you, and it will not be pleasant. You will find yourself drained. You will find yourself in a very poor state of mind, and if you're there just floating around, you can suffer in ways that you don't quite even understand.
That sounds really unpleasant.
It is really unpleasant, but so basically, what am I saying? Be safe, everyone. Use protection.
And we're back to OnlyFans.
Hey, we're back to OnlyFans.
All right, we have been at this for just over an hour, so I'm going to call it here. We're going to move to the Discord. If you want to join us, please do for the after party. I will be on. I assume Sarenth will at least be wrapping up relatively soon, so he can fucking sleep.
Soonish.
Soonish. All right, folks. It has been wonderful. I hope you had a good time, and we will catch you next month.
Take care, folks. Be well. Blessings to you.